Hey gang, it's Casual Friday, and that means it's Nancy Matz Friday, and we're going to be talking about facing your fears. See you in about 5 minutes. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Hey everybody, how's everyone doing? We're finally hit the weekend. 4th of July weekend. Independence Day over here in the U.S., guys. Welcome. It's been an interesting day and interesting 3 days for me. I just want to say a quick thing for my cats. I have 3 cats that were born feral and rescued the first 2, and one of them passed away today. I wasn't real happy with it. I was trying to get some meds and stuff for him, and there were delays in shipping, and who knows, but it happened really suddenly. It happened around Wednesday. I noticed he was starting to act weird, and then, yeah, it went that fast. But anyhow, he was part of a litter of 8, and it was the first group I rescued. And it's funny because he's the last one I rescued, and he really didn't want to be rescued. He fought me the whole way, when I rescued him, and just like today makes me wonder, did I do the right thing? But it happens, and I tend to think there might be something genetic going on with that group of cats, because as I had a feral colony in the back, every 2 years they would start disappearing, whether they went off on their own or whatever, but something would happen. Like this last 2 that I have, the 2 females, the mother, who was very, very hands-on, very, very working with her kittens all the time, just totally stopped showing up. So, either hit by a car or something, but she was 2 years old. So around 2 years old, strange things happen. So I just kind of wonder in the back of my mind if there's something genetic going on with that group of cats. And right now, my black cat, the last remaining one of that litter, is still around, and he'll be 3 in October. So we'll see how this plays out. Okay, on a cheerier note, my name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team based out of Sacramento, California. You can find us everywhere, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch, on TikTok. You can find us on you can find us on Instagram under Ghosty Gal. Otherwise, we're California Haunts on Facebook and different pages. We are California Haunts at Twitter. We are Cal Haunts at Twitch. We are California Haunts over at TikTok. Okay. Another quick announcement about TikTok is I've qualified now for the subscriptions. So if any of you follow us on TikTok, Karen Clark and I, we're going to be offering subscriptions to people. Okay, that means there's going to be private stuff that we do with subs only and all that good stuff. And I'm calling you guys the Boo Crew. They gave me I hate to say 4-letter word, but as a badge thing, they gave me 4 letters, and I was trying to think of something paranormal to do with those 4 letters, and all I could think of was Boo with an extra O behind it. So you guys will be my Boo Crew over on TikTok. All right. So that being said, if you're watching from Facebook today and you like what you hear, please feel free to follow if you haven't done so already, and leave us some smileys and happy faces and thumbs up and all that. Because what that does is there's an algorithm on Facebook, and those smiley faces and everything put us up higher in the algorithm. In fact, since I've been doing the shorts, we've been really getting higher in the algorithm. So I'm real excited about that. Same thing with YouTube. All the smiley faces and the little happy emojis put us higher in their algorithm also, and it goes out to to more people. Also on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed, feel free to do so. I've got 631 videos sitting over there, probably more, and they're all different topics. I don't like to stay on paranormal topics. What was it? Wednesday's show was an example of that. We were talking about a wreck in the Great Lakes, right, Lake Superior. So I don't like to stay on those types of topics all the time. So I like to vary it. So if you look at my stuff, if you look at the stuff we have over there, it's all different topics. And that's it. That brings me to my other thing, is that because it's all kinds of topics, when you go on that front page, it is intimidating because there's stuff just all over the place on that page. Okay? So what I've decided to do, and it's taken me a while to do it because, like I said, there's more than 600 videos over there. I'm putting them under categories, category folders, like Nancy Matz, for instance. If you want to find Nancy Matz's stuff, instead of having to search through a bazillion videos, you go to the folder, the category that says Nancy Matz, and boom, there you go. You can look it up under topics, just like UFOs, cryptids, whatever else you might be interested in. You can do that. It makes it a lot easier to find. And again, if you haven't subscribed, do so. The other thing I ask you is during this show tonight, if you're watching it and maybe you're sitting there and you got other family members or friends in the house or whatever, and you like the show, it would be really cool if you would say, "Hey, come on over here and check out this little show. It's a really good show. It's like the little engine that could. It's a little show that could." Okay, because that's how we get subscribers and stuff. Because word, excuse me, because that was really hot a little while ago. Word does spread, and so word of mouth is how we've gotten as far as we have in the last 3 years. So I'm real excited about that. Okay, all right. So tonight, oh yes, one more announcement before I forget. The training class for paranormal investigators is sold out. I may be putting on another class like that very soon, because like I said, I'm looking for investigators, and I'm very, I know what I want, so I'm very picky about my investigators. However, the class on the following Sunday, which would be the 9th of July, that's still open. It's kind of like an event. And it's if you don't see yourself joining a paranormal group because you just want to do your own thing as a ghost hunter, you know how to use the equipment and all that. I'm going to give you a list of places you can go ghost hunting that are easy access and free, right? So you can hang out. Maybe it might be an old hotel like the Murphy's Hotel. There's a restaurant there. You might want to stay the night. If you talk to the employees at that hotel, they're very open with the paranormal activity that's there. They'll tell you everything. And the hint is, if you're able to be up late at night, when all the guests are sleeping and stuff, you could have the run of the place and ghost hunt to your heart's content, GVPs or whatever you want to do. So I'm going to be giving you a list and places that you can go that are easy access. Plus, along with that, I'm going to let you see and hear some of the evidence that we've gotten from those places, so you have an idea of what of what you might encounter and expect. All right. And the way you're going to do that is you have to go to California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team Meetup page and open that bad boy up and head over for events, and you'll see the event listed over there. Okay. All right. That being said, one more thing. If you're on TikTok and you haven't come over to check out the California Haunts page, check us out over there and join our Boo Crew. I'm going to be going live. I might be going live tomorrow night with Karen Clark to talk about some ghost stories and stuff. So if I do that, that's when I'm going to start offering the subscriptions. And you can when you subscribe, you can become part of the Boo Crew. All right. Tonight we're going to talk about facing your fears with medium Nancy Matz. It's always good to see Nancy on our once a week gig. So let me bring her in, and away we go.
Up here. I have a cat that insisting on be part of the show, so you may hear him. I try to.
Maybe my deceased cat isn't here too. Kind of hanging out because he never got to really run around back here.
I was going to say you may have a cat in your office since he never got in there. So I just pushed a cat up on a table here. I have this big table, and I realized when the cats take a lot of real estate in the house. We have cat trees, and but a lot of almost half of my table here, which should be my books, everybody, is cat. So if he joins me, they both discovered they can walk across and the tail goes this way and they block my screen. So it gets really, and so that's a fear. We're talking fear, folks.
There's no fear of going to heaven now, because when I go to heaven, it's going to be a hell of a reunion with all my animals. That's all I can say.
Absolutely. There's a lady named Carol. She doesn't know I'm talking about her, but there's so many Carols in the world.
Carol, Nancy's talking about you.
What?
Okay, go ahead. I just told her. Carol, Nancy's talking about you.
No. This lady, very lovely, she'd been single for a while. And I told her to keep her eye out for this guy who I gave a physical description, but I think I said something. He's into outdoor sports or whatever. And she met him and loved him and loved him, and he up and died quickly. It was very, very traumatic. And unfortunately, and she calls me up, blah, 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 and she says, well, who greeted him? What does his heaven look like? I was never so confused my whole life. It was almost like shadows, like in the movie Ghost, when he finally in the last scene turns around and you see the shadows of people. Well, there was a whole bunch of shadows, and I could tell the three shadows in the center had sticks in their hand, and the shadows on either sides looked like deer to me. And I told her that. She says, of course, Those are his three hunting buddies that preceded him in death, and they were hunters, and those are the deer that are waiting for him. I thought it was the
Wow.
most amazing. I know it. I know it. I hope she would listen to this sometime and give me a call. I won't say her last name, but it was one of those first timers for me. And every once
Right.
in a while, I'll have something I'll say to somebody. That's the first time that's ever happened. In fact, recently I had a, well, it has nothing to do with tonight's show, but for Carol to hear that who waited for him was his hunting buddies, and he
Hmm.
wasn't that much older. It wasn't an older man, but it just happens that these buddies preceded him in death also. So, um, I am having the hardest time with this filtering this light, everybody. I really apologize, but um, I'll sit back a little bit. Maybe that'll be easier. I had it fine. I don't know what changed. Let me see if I can move this. I don't like being washed out. Anyway,
Are you
so
using a are you using a fluorescent bulb?
yeah, uh-huh.
Oh, I don't use those.
Oh, you don't? Ooh, what
No,
this this
I
is
think they wash my face out.
well, this is for camera. I mean for
Is it?
video.
Well, I
Yes,
don't
both of
know.
them.
You know what? I'm going to honestly say this is that the first setup I had with my photography studio back
Yeah.
there was normal light bulbs. Because when I
Oh,
was in college and then learning all my photography,
yeah.
fluorescent bulbs were no no. We always had to use a filter with them.
Of course, both of these are fluorescent.
So
That's
what I
the
have is
the
my desk lamp has to be a good 30 years old, and it still uses regular light bulbs. It has a warm light that comes on me,
oh no,
and that's
and
what
it
I'm using.
works just fine. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Well, let
that's my
me let me
spotlight.
get going to this. I want to invite the audience. I don't know who's in. I could move my notes aside and see if anybody's joined us tonight. It's pretty quiet. It's holiday
They're
weekend.
probably there. They're probably there, but they're just lurking.
Yeah, it we invite you to send in a note of what your phobia is. And
Hmm.
if it's really interesting, I'd like to tap into it. But anyway, what causes fears, phobias, or panic attack? Actually added that because fear and phobias can escalate to the point of a panic attack. And one of them, I have this person in my life, and she lives in Auburn, California. And after the death of her parents, she acquired a new fear of going on the freeway. And it comes from hurrying the parents for cancer treatments. And after they pass away, the freeway represented to her fear and just all kinds of death and destruction. And it took a long time for her to get to a place of accepting that it wasn't them, it was her creating them all over again, that energy. And when she started really think about it, I think she's a lot better now. But fears and phobias can come out of many different ways that can something happen in your life. And I'm going to give you some ideas. I did Google this, and then I started reading things. I says, "Oh my gosh, I deal with this all the time." People with well, let me just keep going. So this is out of Google, and I always say most of the time I'll read this. I've had 33 years here, kids, and so I will start soon. I kind of wanted at least 100, 150 people watch my show before I felt like I could put the extra effort in for stories like this, 10, 15 minutes, not share a show, but some little clips of all these stories. So on the Google, it says major life stress, and unfortunately, we're just talking about Charlotte's cat, such as the death of or serious illness of a loved one, as with my friend in Auburn, California, the stress of an illness and death of a loved one, a traumatic event such as sexual assault or a serious accident. I was in a very serious accident at 18. It has never really affected my driving because I love the idea of going from one place to another.
Hmm.
But I've always had the fear of not being able to breathe. And guess what happened? I hit the steering wheel, whomp, like this. And that invisibleness can haunt you. But when I started realizing, and I want to present this a little further here, when you start realizing where the fear comes from, you can analyze and say, well, that's not happening to me. That happened then. So let me keep going. Major changes in your life, such as a divorce or the addition of a baby, can cause all kinds of trauma, drama, fears, and phobias. Having a child, one of the most fearful thing I had my whole life. That first child comes, and we take it home, and my husband went out to work, and I'm sitting there with this brand new baby, going, like, okay, this is mine. Talk about a big fear. I know that every mother in the world looks at that first time child and it goes, "Oh, fudge." So I experienced that. Um, this is what I didn't know about. Smoking or excessive caffeine intake can cause fear and phobias and panic attacks. I don't know about smoking. How can that do? Is that nicotine buzz you up or something? I drink more caffeine probably. Well, I drink my coffee half and half, but I probably drink more. I've never had that action. Though they do say HDHD people can drink more caffeine, it actually relaxes them. I don't know about that either. So, um, anyway, that's that. So, phobias equals fear, or is it the reverse? Early childhood event that is vaguely remembered but has another event happen again that you can then overreact. Have you heard the expressions, once seen is twice learned? So you have an event and you'll forget it, but it's in your mind. And then you have another event, and guess what? Uh oh. So I was 3 or 4 years old. I forgot about this, and I talked to my mom before she passed away in '09 about my phobia with fire. And she says, I know where that came from. I go, Mom, what? She says, well, I smelled smoke one day in the house. And you and your sister, who's a year younger than I am, she was only 2, we were in the closet with the laundry basket, and I set it afire with Mom's cigarette lighter or match. Here I was only 3 years old. And she goes in there. We're just sitting there looking or standing there looking at the clothing caught fire. And she says, what are you going to do? You can't scold your child at that age. You take everything away. Everybody was smoking in those years. I was born in the dark ages, and everybody smoked, and so I grew that up with that around me. I don't know. Maybe that was the reason I never smoked. Is that fear of fire that was buried deep in my mind? Well, when I was an adult, we in California had a lot of fires, and it happened before then. There might have been an incident that but it grew. The invisible ness of 3 years old catching the laundry on fire. What a kid! I was always doing something. Anyway, I got to a place where I'm really afraid of fire even today. Like we will live temporarily in a house that's really old, and we just now moving to a really newer home. And the reason I want to move one of them is because the wiring in the house. I have computers everywhere, and that fear of fire. And when I lived in Hornbrook, when we lived up on Black Mountain, Hornbrook, California, with 3,000 foot elevation, there was a big fire up there, and we were evacuated for 3 days. Didn't know if we can come back to a house or not. And when the fire people came by, and horns are blazing, and get out of here, get out of here. My husband ran out and said, what is going on? And I went out, and the particulates from the fire was so close that the burning embers were as big as my thumb, about half an inch to an inch long. That's when you worry. And we were gone for 3 days, and I came back, and I was talking to my husband, and I said, it was amazing that fear of fire was gone. It's almost like the event is over. I don't have to think about it anymore. And I'm really not afraid of fire now. Um, People are not always smart about fires, and I get angry, but that big fire was what I was waiting for. Was it because I was intuitive? I knew it was something's coming. Who knows? There's really no way. I do believe that if you have a phobia, like my friend driving the freeway, she would take short trips back and forth until she realized she was okay. It wasn't the parents, it was her fear of the parents in the car dying of cancer. So she took little trips. There's no way to get over fire. You can't have a little fire to get used to bigger fires. I think I intuitively, even at 3, I buried that. And then as the gift surfaced and became more, I kept that in my mind and intuitively somehow knew that a big fire was coming. No one wants that. And that was when everybody was burning up. And the fire did kill somebody, unfortunately. Little town of Hornbrook, California, it's the size of a postage stamp. I think there's 20 people living there. One got killed. I would say a couple hundred. It was terrible. I was really terribly happy. So that's what we call early childhood event that is vaguely remembered. I didn't. until I talked to my mom one time. She died in '09, so it was prior to that. I was talking to her about this crazy fear I have of fire. Well, I can tell you, she just set me straight. So, sometimes the memory is true, but there is something to be said about a memory where you embellish it a little bit. And after some time, we take it to be true. Say you're walking somewhere, family, friends, and you enter a park and there's a breezeway and there's a bridge over it. Well, if you're 2, 3, 5 years old, you're going through it. It's dark and you have to look around. You don't feel safe. What does that do to you when you're an adult? You vaguely remember walking through there. You vaguely remember seeing the shadows of other people, but it was your mom or friends. It was not that long, but as a child, you see it immensely long. Plenty of movies on TV of overpasses in parks. And it seems to be the point of let's get her afraid. People are afraid. And a lot of people have, I wouldn't say a lot of people, 2 or 3 people over the years have told me about dark hallways, um, breezeways like that, tunnels, absolutely tunnels, breezeways, same dark feeling. It's foreboding and it's scary and it's uninviting. Well, you can imagine after 20, 30 years, you then enter something that scares you like you did as a child, and we make it more real than it is. At the time, it wasn't any problem at all, but we make it more real. And is it because you watch TV and there's all that drama and trauma and crime and tunnels? Absolutely. I tell people, why are you watching those shows? Well, my husband loves them. It's exciting to watch the hero win. But to
Mm-hmm.
me, I think I wonder what kind of phobias and fears it's in it's imprinting on us, and we're not aware. Even an innocent TV show could cause the problems, or a horror show when someone gets pushed over a railing in a hotel and they go 20, 30 stories down. Do you always look up when there's somebody 2, 3, 4, 5 stories above? Oh, I did. That Lux Hotel. My friend and I went there. My husband and I went there. You get down the bottom and the balconies all the way up are more in until they come to a point. You betcha I was looking up because there's a lot of balconies people could fall off. Was I worried about it? No, it was concerning. I thought, what, what child's going to fall off the railing? So I wasn't predicting. It just occurred to me like, oh, this doesn't look safe in here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want to. So the other thing that happened to me, listen, everybody, I've always been this way. I seem to be the one that gets the fire started, the dog bite, or I fell off horses so many times you think I would never get on a horse again. Went over a cliff at one time, but this is, I was about 4, possibly 5. My father traveled a lot. And so my mother was visiting a girlfriend. And I remember visiting, and I was pretty young. My sister was only a year younger than but I was by myself. So I might have been 4, 3 or 4, 4 probably. And I remember the house, dirt driveway, there was a garage, and they were sitting probably indoors or on the patio. And of course, I wandered off. I'm always wandering off doing something. So that explains the horse riding and the running I used to do. I looking for adventure all the time. Anyway, to be safe, the owner, the lady my mom was visiting, tied up her dog. Guess where? On the other side of the garage. Guess where I went? The other side of the garage. I wonder what's over there. And I remember this big black thing as tall as I was. Of course, I was only 3 or 4, but a 3 or 4-year-old with a German Shepherd or a lab or something. And I went, hi, Quomp. And I remember screaming, and my hand was so little, the whole hand went in the dog's mouth. And I do remember that. Um, it was foolhardy for mom to let me go, but who's going to think that there'd be a dog around the other side of the building that would bite my hand? Yeah, I got scars all over me. Everybody's crazy. But that fed into a fear way later in life. I just mentioned rode horses, started running because I had a weak ankle. I was doing endurance rides, and people were noticing that my right ankle was after after horse riding because I rode English where the metal bar and has virtually no saddle. Well, that's what I preferred. And we were
Mm-hmm.
doing long distance, and I really enjoyed it, but my ankle was weak. from spraining it when early in my 20s. They said, somebody, you need to start running to build it. Well, guess what? I enjoyed running so much I gave up the horse. And I found a girlfriend that I ran off and on with. We lived Horseshoe Bar and Douglas was Horseshoe Bar and Auburn Folsom was our nearest. We were off of Auburn Folsom that backed up to the bike trail, horse trail of Folsom Lake. And so the first time I got attacked by dog, I got onto the bike trail and went all the way down to, and I forgot, unfortunately, Douglas goes up to Auburn Folsom, crosses into the lake, and they have a big turnaround. The cars can turn around, drop off people, and turn, then go park. And I had run this, and all of a sudden, on my ankle, and I looked down, and there's Doxy just chomping away at my ankle, right behind my ankle bone. And I usually, when I was running, have 2 pairs of socks on, everybody. And that's because of blistering. I did a lot of running, so that was common those years. You put a thinner one on, you put a thicker one on. And this little dog like this, and I looked and I said, what is this? What is this dog doing to me? And I looked around, and all the family, they were of a different culture, and they were going, ah! My dog is, and I looked at him, I says, and why is this dog not on a leash? All the while, this dog going like this to me. And it scared the holy pachoopies out of me. Guess what happened? A fear, a phobia came rushing up. But they took the dog away. I realized, oh my God, what if it had been a bigger dog? A couple months later, Eloise and I, Eloise, forgot how to pronounce it. She was running with me, and we went around a curve, and we heard this man just yelling at this dog. Stop, 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 and we looked at each other, and we could hear the dog coming down the hill, and we could hear that it was a big dog. And both of us knew immediately. I almost had a panic attack because I realized there was no defense. And that's the second part of why I bring this one up, is that as he was getting closer, the owner came from our front. He had seen what was happening, and he grabbed the dog before he could get to us. And it was a German Shepherd. We would have been chewed up tremendously. And I realized at the time how defenseless we were. And that's when we decided to get bear spray or whatever it was that we had at the time. You can't carry sticks big enough to ward off a vicious dog. And it's not the only time I got attacked. I got attacked at the house too. And sometimes I tell my people, I'm not getting away from phobias, but that was a really big one for me. And my husband at the time got me a couple of different things because I was running by myself. Most of the time it was my own dog and the neighbor's dog. And but when I was by myself, especially when I did 16 to 20 miles from, well, I forgot what they're called, bike trail, and from Nimbus Dam down to Sacramento. What's that one against the river? Sorry, I can't remember. Anyway, so when we have fears and phobias and we can't have control, we have to learn to control. Remember I said my friend in Auburn took control of her fear by conquering it little steps at a time. So when I talk to a parent, the child has phobias of getting around other kids, afraid of being bullied, all those things that come with childhood, I always tell the parent, what's the sports they like? And sometimes they don't think of wrestling. They don't think of, I call it kung fu, which would be all the kick, all of those kind. You need to get your child introduced to something that makes them feel powerful. So at the time I was running, there was sprays and things like that. And I seem to remember he got me something that extended. And that can't carry a baseball bat or anything, but if you had something, even if it didn't work, it gave me a sense of power, which helped me overcome the fear. So if you look at what fears you have, if there's a way to empower you, and I'm going to talk about other steps, because each of us have 10, 20 stories of our fears and phobias, or how they began early in childhood or later on. Sure, I'm hearing a lot of static. Is that from my end or yours?
I think it's your end.
I don't know where it's coming from. Is it distracting?
No, can you hear it now?
It's better. Did you turn something down?
Yeah, I did. 'Cause my air conditioner's
Okay.
on,
Oh,
so maybe
okay.
that's
That's
turning it off the mic.
yeah. Our air conditioning's not on. Sorry. Oh, that's better. Wow. Okay. Um, okay. So I talk about the bites. I wrote for 2 hours. Everybody here. Um, so looking back at family running rescue me, and then Eloise fear phobia guards guard. I talk about empowering ourselves, and I do now carry a defense. Um, everybody can have some kind of defense, but I carry a couple when I do go farther on my own. Um, knowledge is power. And when you have power and knowledge, your fear can go away. Now, that's only talking. Remember, we have an hour, everybody. This is a really brief, but I hope to give you enough so you can start investigating how to help yourself. Um, so, with that, and I will then go down and talk about how phobias are created, and some steps to alleviate those issues. But I want to bring up a thought. Is this a past life fear brought forward to be dealt with today? Of course, that's possible. The phobias I have were this lifetime. Uh, uh, the fire in my mother's laundry basket and getting bit by a dog. Those are my two biggest fears, actually, is being attacked by an animal. Because I've been injured. The bulldog attacked me, and it was my own front yard right there in Loomis. The neighbor's dog horse got loose. Of course, we're horse people, so we and the dog took a look at us taking his horse away, and thought that we were taking their property away. And so he crossed from their yard across the street into our yard, and I was one attacked. And my husband had to get a 2x4 to beat him off of me. I got injured. They did destroy the dog because you can't live without you can't live in your property in your house if you think the dog's going to cross the street, it's going to come and rip you apart. And that was craziness. I've been injured pretty severely a few times. I want to bring up a fellow I would encourage you to read up on, Brian Weiss, Many Lives, Many Masters. I I've met him. I've gone to conferences. Saw him. Gentle giant of a man. I just there was something about him. I read all his books. Only Love is Through Time is Love, and um, three or four. My mind, of course, is blank. But Many Lives, Many Masters is his first one, um, and talks about his being a doctor in oncology and a couple other doctorate certificates in Florida. And he had a physician friend speak to him about this secretary or assistant, and she's got all these phobias and fears and just ruled her life. And Brian says, well, I can help with that. I'm a hypnotist also. Guy is brilliant. He's alive. In fact, he and his daughter now are on the conference tour, and she is very involved with him. Um, sorry, everybody, I have my email open. Um, so he helped this lady about almost 10 phobias. And it was this lifetime issues like mine, fire and dogs, or animals attacking while I'm running, or being by myself on a bike or horses or whatever. And one day he got really frustrated with her. She couldn't go to a place she couldn't figure out where it was coming from. He put her up in really deep hypnosis. I don't know. And he got frustrated. He raised his hand. At one lecture I saw him at, he raised his hand and says, oh, just go to when that happened to you. 2,000 years early,
Wow.
earlier. And of course, he didn't believe it. But he talked to her, got details. She comes back out of this, never had another phobia. What? What did you say? So during one of these, remember, I had not dealt with past life or reincarnation until I got into the Universal Christ of the Master Spiritualist Church. And I was doing the readings also, and I was seeing the spirit people, and there's something coming back, and then, we had lifetimes together, and I went, what the heck? So after all these years, and I do believe in it now. Absolutely. I think this is why I want to talk to you week after week, night after night, and I do talk to my clients. There is absolutely no fear. I live with a little bubble inside me that says, we get to do this again, do everything can this lifetime. So I have these phobias, kind of crunches me up here. Anyway, so he regressed her and found out 2,000 years earlier. Well, he was absolutely amazed. And he said, I'd like to hypnose, put you under again. And he got her out of this lifetime space into the in between space where she met his dead father. He's a Jewish man. And the father gave her to tell to Brian his Jewish name. And then he said his Brian's infant son was with grandpa, and he had the infant with him. And he said to the woman, tell him I have his son with me. He was born with his heart backwards. Come to find out that Dr. Brian Weiss had never told anybody that and how he died. But she knew, and she knew the father's Jewish name. It set him out of medical into this world, and he's never looked back. And that happened to me. Everybody knows I got cancer in 87. I was 39 years old. I had 3B, almost a 4. And cancer scared me. And my treatment stopped in November 87. I was diagnosed. My treatment stopped in April of 88. Left my husband July 1st, 88. Got into this in 90. And I was so intrigued. I had to know why bad things happen to good people. And that's now it's been 33 years. So we do change, and he changed. The truth of why we're here and what's going on was so big to him. The proof that his father could speak to him was more than he had ever imagined. So past life regressions, as with Shar when I did hers, she was introduced to somebody in a past life where it correlates with where she is now. And Shar, I love her. You know, sometimes our life isn't always fair, and we don't always get to do what we want to do. And so we kind of have this plan, like, can we get on the road and do investigations across country? I have clients in every state. You think I wouldn't want to get in my new camper and just take off? Have to do life first. So that's a long range plan. But in that life she left, he wasn't able to finish his plans. So he brought his spirit, is Shar's, the quest to do something big. And she's on her path. And so the fear of not accomplishing or not finishing, you know, I have 8 books lined out. What kind of fear could I create of never being able to finish that? Well, I'll do that before I take trips, because it's part of what this lifetime is about. Do I not do it, then next lifetime I'll have to play it and finish it. Okay, so that's important to understand, because that phobia, fear of not accomplishing or being stopped from completing, can cripple you from one life to another. You always feel like you're not finished, or there's something undone, or there's people you need to see, or you're in the wrong location. It drives you to change. That comes from a past life. Okay? Bigger than a child's memory of being bit by a dog. That's small time. The big time things is past life unfinished business, unfinished relationships. Oh yeah, I know. Relationships, right? It makes the world go round, as I've been told. But sometimes they are crippling. Women who come to me are so afraid of getting a relationship because the last one went so bad. How's that crippling you? You know, if anything, strike out and find somebody. And when you do, make sure you're equal and fair and honest. And I think we all need to be more of that. Okay, so how to deal with fear, phobia attacks. Some of this, I wrote up most of this. Some of the words I took from Google. And I'm not always sure if I always agree with the wise people at the Google headquarters, because they're doing the best they can. The first thing this is, take time out. Will you recognize the potential for phobia, for fear? And I'm not positive I know what that means, other than I will say they might have an interpret, take time out. It's to slow down your pace. I have an expression I always use. You can only take one breath at a time. You can take one step at a time, one heartbeat at a time. And so when you're going into action of fear and phobias, we speed up. Grab the reins of the horse and slow down. I call that taking time out. Okay. So when the fear grips you, just say, I'm going to slow down. And when you do, you'll be more aware of your surroundings and more in control, which is power and knowledge. Okay. So I talked about the friend and the freeway fear. Um, okay. So going past this, it's impossible to think clearly when you're flooded with fear or anxiety. And that's when I say to my clients, my friends, slow time down. It's amazing to me when I was in an accident at 18 where I crushed my chest, and interesting, I got breast cancer. So I always wonder if the crushing caused it. That in the moment of fear and anxiety, instead of panicking, time slowed down is because I was observing, I was witnessing something where I wanted to pay attention. Keep my hands down, Nancy. So you may remember an accident or an event or seeing that person across the hall and across the room going, oh, I want that person in my life. I want to marry that person. Slows down. Take charge of that slow down. Learn that feel of slowing down. As I said earlier, they say time out. I say be aware, awakened in the moment. Because when you do, that fear and anxiety cannot grab you because that's power of knowledge. You're going to slow down and witness what's really happening. Okay. They say things like breathe through panic. Same statement. You can only take a breath at a time, one step at a time, one heartbeat at a time. Keep it under control. Slow down. I also tell people when a moment of panicking, 3 slow breaths. Sometimes that's all it takes because you want to control the moments you think you're going into a panic moment. You want control, power and control over your moments. They say face your fears. Well, you're facing them all the time. You could be taken over by a fear if you're not facing them. I would like you to face your fears. I want you to slow down and witness them. I want to tell you something. I'm not as afraid of insects, bugs, snakes as most women are. So my husband and I moved to southern Arizona to experience the desert life. We had a big old house built overlooking the valley that goes into Mexico. Had mountains on the other side, the storms would come through. And if you'd ever seen a storm open up in the desert, the cloud comes in, all of a sudden, bro. It's fast and it's hard and it just floods everything. We got to see that a lot. Then 08 happened. And unfortunately, we had to move. But before that time, I was coming to California to do the psychic fairs. I was still involved. So I got my favorite overnight bag, went to my shed, pulled it out, went into the house, opened that baby up. A tarantula as big as two hands together jumped up and landed right on my arm. Big brown, 3 inches across, 4 inches, I don't know, but 3 inches.
Absolutely
Southern
not.
California. It's Southern California. The only thing I could think of at the moment was I didn't know what to do. Take a 3 breath, yes, and I went, Larry. Yelled, just like I did when you brought me the market. I just yelled, Larry. He was clear at the other side of the house. He comes in, and I'm standing there with this big tarantula on my arm. He says, well, knock it off. Never occurred to me. I didn't want to knock it off. I didn't want me to hurt it. I didn't want if I hit it, would it bite me? I was in control of the moment. I didn't know what to do. So I had to have my partner, my husband, think it with me. And I went, oh, boom. This big thing flies across. The females are brown. And we didn't know if she had a nest in there in my bag. I can't remember what happened to the bag. Maybe he suggested we get rid of it. Maybe there was babies in there or something. But the males are black, very dark brown to black. She was brown, and so I knocked her off, and he took her out. So I think we fell into the trash. And I just didn't know what to do. I was afraid. It wasn't looking like it was biting me, but the startled moment, we can never escape those, everybody. But what we can do is say, I want to keep in control. I want my power. Keep repeating. Take a breath. And I stood there and went, I know what I'll do. I'll scream for my husband. That spider should have bit me by that time because I knew he was way on the other side of the house. Imagine the worst. I don't know if I agree with this one either. Am I going to imagine that my spider is going to bite me? I think what they mean by that is it can't be as bad as what it appears. Well, if I'm setting fire to my mother's laundry, that's as bad as it gets. So imagine the worst. I'm not positive I understand that one, other than getting used to spiders by looking at them at a bug shop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Um, the next one is kind of interesting. Don't try to be perfect. I'm a recovered perfectionist. When I was married to my first husband, I took all day Saturday to clean the entire house, plus the walls and ceilings. I vacuumed every little inch. Well, if you can't control your marriage, you control your environment. That's what. And I tell people, I'm going to get my trouble. I'm not going to say that one, but I will say I'm a recovered perfectionist. As I've gotten older, I've realized that's a lot of wasted time trying to be that clean. But I like organization. And so don't try to be perfect, just be good enough because you waste a lot of, don't waste time keeping your house up, but there is a limit um, to be overdoing something. Visualize happy place, absolutely. So I also say to people, um, yeah, everybody has memories that are good. Everybody. I would like you to pick one memory that you will never forget. Pick a memory. It could be a vacation in Hawaii, right, Shar? Get in the
Yes.
water.
Yes.
Always have that at the tip of your mind. If you're in a situation where you feel a little out of control, take a deep breath and visualize yourself in that happy moment. I am a fond. I watch documentaries, things on TV, but if I see a Laurel and Hardy movie, I will always put it on. Do you know why? Because in the past, when I've been under duress, stress, whatever, if I and I have comedy, um, Jerry Lewis movies,
Mm-hmm.
distract your brain, offset it. And I will not put a drama on if I had a bad day. I will search and find something that's a documentary, which I love, or a movie that makes you laugh. Because what you want to realize is that stress and drama and trauma lowers your vibration. And put you in a phobia, panic, and map. We want to lighten your vibration. And though you say, I can't do that, what you want to do is have someone else do it for you and make you
Mm-hmm.
laugh. My husband loves the YouTube. So we have these smart TVs. It's my smart TV. It's pretty old Sonic. I don't know. Um, this is, monitor. And you can go to YouTube and watch them all day. He has it set up to get on YouTube on his TV. So the big screen. And he loves the shorts where you have the animals, you have the silly, stupid people tricks. Like, are you kidding me? They did that? And it's hilarious. And I can see why he enjoys it so much because the laughter brings you up. So I would absolutely, tonight, find those memories or find some way of watching YouTube shorts. And I really can't remember what they're called because I don't watch them that often, where you just watch one stupid joke after or people doing stupid things over and over. It's just amazing what people
Mm-hmm.
will try. And it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing that people don't break their necks or kill themselves. So visualize a happy place. I absolutely believe in that. If you, I wouldn't want you to run to an ice cream counter to have a happy moment, but make yourself remember. And I just have a memory just came to me. It's been many, many years. I remember tasting peppermint candy, peppermint ice cream, and I remember peppermint pieces in it. And I'm not a peppermint person, but I remember that moment of thinking that was absolutely refreshing, delicious, and exciting with the little pieces of peppermint in it. So
Mm-hmm.
think about what it is that gives you that pleasure to pull you out of that stressful moment. And lastly, according to Google, talk about it. I don't know too many people that want to hear other people's phobias, but you could if you had someone you trust. If you have a partner that will listen to you. A lot of women would like to have their partner listen to them, but sometimes it has to be somebody else and say, I call it, I have another expression. I'm full of this stuff. I call it on the cliff. If you're on the cliff, call. Um, I'm not always available, everybody, for clients, but for the people that are tight in my life, we kind of have agreement. I say, so I'm on the cliff. If I can't calm down, or there's going to be a moment of stress because I've talked to unhappy people, then I will talk to a friend. And just, it doesn't have to be about the topic. It means interacting with somebody. Those people around us don't want to hear what happened at work for you every day. They don't want to
Mhm.
hear that you had a bad drive home every day. But what they might say is, well, what have you been doing today? And sometimes when it's
Mhm.
a hard day, I'll call somebody up, my friend, I'll say, well, tell me your day, because it will get you out of your space. It's called offsetting, changing
Mhm.
your vibration. Maybe you can't bring your vibration up, you're still kind of like mad, but it takes you off that railroad track of having that thought in your mind to the other railroad track where you have a fresh new start after that conversation. You'll be amazed how much that helps you. Um, Stand your ground. And after it's over, you have all these helps I gave you. You could go back and write them all down. After an event where you've taken control over it, stand your ground and visualize yourself as a powerful. I took control of that. I offset. I got happy watching a Lauren Hardy movie. I visualized myself eating, drinking, being somewhere. I was really happy. I just had another remembrance. I'm a roller coaster nut. When I was growing up, a young woman, if there was a
Mhm.
roller coaster around, not once, twice, maybe 4 or 5 times, because I just never got fearful. I was that one that did everything. But I remember it just had a flash of being on top. And I think what it was is, as with wanting to travel, I'd like to see how far I can see. And I remember being on the top and looking and witnessing the surrounding world and the lights at night. It was like memorizing to me. I, that's a nice memory. Yeah.
Mhm.
Stand your ground and visualize yourself as a powerful human with the will to overcome things in your life that hinder your life choices. Actually, I think I wrote that one. That didn't come from
Mhm.
Google, because that's something I would say. One of the things I believe, I was talking 2 or 3 people about the economy right now, and I do, even though the government says, oh, we're doing really well, not in my world. I have too many people not doing well. And my business has slowed down because uh, Shari and I talked about it. You have
Mhm.
to go to a place of realizing that people need their money for their groceries. I do work on Social Security, and I looked at my Social Security check and went, they gave us a raise? That covered half a tank of gas. That was it. But look at all the other things that are increasing. So we're all in a panic mode. Hold our money, be tight, be calm. Um, One of the things from Google, it says, please don't drink or do drugs to avoid life and your fears. And I go, really? That's kind of common sense. And there's a lot, unfortunately, a lot of people who overdose, a lot of people who escape life through drugs and alcohol. And I don't want to say that it's an illness, but I do feel like sometimes somebody, our brains are wired for accepting
Mhm.
that. Um, I've already told you a dozen times, my grandma, my mother's side family, cowboys and Indians, and I look like my grandmother Blanche more so than anybody else. Other than my broken nose, most people don't know that I had broken it, but I really look Indian. And subsequently, I did have a margarita the other night, but I was totally, I haven't drank a margarita. In fact, I want to put it out there. Anybody know how old that was? We can't find those margarita wine coolers anymore. My husband traveled all over town trying to find me another one. He couldn't. So maybe this can, maybe it was the last one ever made and I should have kept it and put it on eBay. But I can't drink. I, I just, it does me terrible. So that's something that needs, if you're in drug and alcohol, I'm not equipped to counsel on that kind of a thing. But I do believe that there are groups of people to help overcome those things. So phobias, fears, and trauma and drama mixed with alcohol and drugs. Boy, I'm just not, I don't, that's above my pay grade, everybody. And
Mhm.
the last one, don't criticize those who suffer, as this only reflects who you are to others, and we often reflect our own fears when criticizing those people. That's my statement. I do believe that. Haven't you heard about people criticizing somebody and in reality they have the same fear, but they don't want to be seen that way?
Hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up a few things that this is me. This is how I deal with my clients. Uh, Meditation, of course. We already spoke of meditation. Step aside, step out of your path, get into a new place. Find those moments that are happy for you. Absolutely. We already kind of talked about this. This could show self-worth strategies for happy life and goal setting to create
Hmm.
healthy direction for you. Absolutely, I do believe that. Now, one that most people wouldn't think of is exercise. When you exercise, you get endorphins. Endorphins can be remembered and they will stay in your system. So if you're in in a trauma environment, if you exercise morning or at night to work it out of your body. So in the past, there was a lady that I met in a complex, a bunch of us working. And then one day I heard her people yelling, screaming, shouting, hitting, making big noise. And I walked over there and she was dealing with anger issues. And so they all had Nerf baseball bats and they were all hitting the punching bags that you can see in a gym. Because only through physical exertion can we weed out of our body the negativity. And I will often tell people, I said, "Oh, what's our
Did you know that there are places you can go if you have anger issues and you're feeling stressed? There are places you can go and you pay for like, I don't know, 2 hours worth, and they provide you with breakables and baseball bats and hammers and stuff.
oh, I saw on TV
Yeah,
and they have a junkyard and the men go out with big bats and beat cars up."
yeah, you can go out and
Yeah.
actually do stuff like that
Um,
to get
I
to
just saw
get
this
that off.
recently, but I've had this in my head. I've given a lot of advice for people. Go. It used to be Toys R Us. You could buy a nurse baseball bat, and you
Yeah.
go to the forest and take a picture of what it is you're angry about, anger management,
Hmm.
or fearful, and then you beat it. Do you hug a tree or you hug a rock and you say, "Forgive me for doing this"? You want to be sure you're out of earshot of everybody. Just beat the heck out of it. You'd be surprised how healing that is. I've done it. I'm not telling what it was about either. It just won't happen. Exercise helps your mental state and create endorphins. When a stressful situation, remember how you feel while exercising. You will pull out of the self imposed fear moment because you offset the fear by the endorphins you remember when you're exercising. Kind of complex thought there, but it really works. I've been exercising and busy all my life. And I think that's one reason I'm able to deal with the topics um, that I deal with my clientele because I've always been busy and I can work it out. Um, so the other one is I've always encouraged mom, dads, people calling me, uh, people who are widowed, is find groups of like-minded people to talk about it. Women who have recently divorced, recently widowed, bankruptcy, delinquency. In the 80s, they had something called tough love, and so I parents would go to that. Um, uh, a death of a parent. I wish that my mom had had access for us kids because I didn't know what death was, and I was 7 years old, moving up to Northern California. I was in a school up here. I can't remember where it was, Arden Ridge somewhere, over where you are now, Shar. And the elementary school was running from here to the playground, and these two ladies say, "Oh, poor little girl, her father had, she has no father." And I remember thinking, what does that mean? I hadn't seen him for a while, but he was a commercial artist for Universal Studios, so he's always traveling from Los Angeles, San Diego to Las Vegas and back. Mom, we didn't see him that often, so he was gone a year before someone said something. I didn't understand what death was, but as a teenager, and then when I had kids, I was grieving him because I didn't know what it was like to have a father and my kids, and I thought and my fear was that my husband would die, and he almost did a couple of times. He was in accidents. Long story, but so those fears are true. Self-help groups, even church environments where you can have a group to come together. One lady was dealing with divorce or something, and I said, "What you need to do is solicit your town through Facebook or marketing or whatever you have, and just get a small group of your people in your zip code to come over and talk. And she charged $10, and it was a huge success. It was enough for the goodies for the night, but she got the therapy, not necessarily they did, because she listened to their problems and she could feel it out. It's very, very healing. And that, as I said, adults, um, divorce, widowhood, bankruptcy, and recovery can go on and on. I'm not talking PTSD. I think that's something medical people should do. The rapid eye movement is now being used by PTSD victims, and I hear it's very successful, but I'm not one to know much about it. Um, okay, so this is important. I, oops. Okay, I got 15 more minutes at least. The 333 rule for anxiety and other coping strategies. It involves looking around your environment to identify three objects and or three sounds, then moving three body parts. So if you're in a stressful situation, you look, I got curtains there, I got a light here, and I have a headset. What it does is puts clarity from out of control thought processes. It slows you down. It makes you identify something. You could do three sounds. Shar, I hear your cat. I have a little bitty fan on way over there, and then I can hear Larry's TV.
You can hear my cat?
Yeah, yep, right there.
I have a dog barking.
Was that a dog? I thought it was a cat.
Yeah, that's a
Okay,
little guy.
little guy.
Yeah.
Um, Many people find this strategy helps focus and ground them when anxiety overwhelms them. What you're doing is you're pulling your thoughts and collecting them and holding them to look at something else. It's distracting. Step aside, I call it. Step aside. And again, I say, in my world, I tell people to take one breath at a time, one step at a time, and one heartbeat at a time. You can only speak one word at a time, too. In a moment of crisis, take slow, singular breaths and feel your power of control. That's that three breaths at a time. Breath, breath. By the end of the third breath, you're calmed down. I've given you a lot of tips. Try them all. Try them all. Um, and then I bring this up again. I mentioned earlier, speak to yourself a word that represents peace, love, or humor to break the energy of fear. Mine's popcorn. I can't eat popcorn because I have dental work, but the smell of hot buttered popcorn, fresh cooked. Remember when you were a kid or a young adult, go to the movies and the best thing about the movie was the popcorn?
Hmm.
I can smell it. And what I've done is I move my mind to that. Remember, I talked to this earlier of a good memory. Hot, and I don't eat popcorn anymore, but I can remember it. That's what's important. Yep, I did it again. Hot buttered popcorn. Wow. Maybe it's not your choice. Maybe it was pepper ice cream. And that just came to me tonight. I wonder if I got a spirit person telling me that. Okay. If possible, expose yourself to small steps of whatever your greatest fear is and see the trueness of your fear. I don't know if that's always the best way. Like I said, fire, dogs attacking, hard to get around little pieces of that. I could see that with insects, spiders. I seen a show on TV once, and someone was really afraid of spiders, and they introduced one little spider at a time.
Hmm.
And then when that woman was completely okay, then they put her in a tank and dropped spiders on her. Hello, that would create it all over again. Sorry. Great. I think it was called Facing Your Greatest Fears.
Hmm.
Okay, I think I've given you enough steps on how to do this. Ended up being a very big topic. I thought, oh, it'll be easy just to talk about it. Oh no. When I started thinking about all the times I talked to my own clientele about things like this, it's amazing what will come up because I'm what we call a professional listener. I really
Hmm.
can hear. And when we're talking, sometimes I'll hear an underlying thought or underlining conversations going along, but there's another conversation underneath. And that's what you want is to find somebody that can hear. And a lot of times it's phobias, fears of the spouse cheating, fear of not having money. Well, where does that come from? You have plenty of money. You're paying your bills. Anyway, so give it some thought, everybody. And you can go back, lower right hand corner screen where the topic is covered, like share, right next to share, there's some dots. Click on there, and it says you can see transcript of tonight's show. Go back and write down some of these, because I think it's important that we learn to control not our environment, because we can't, but control our power. And learning to control power is keeping power. Keep control. Don't get out of control. Phobias, fears, and are what rules us at times, and it shouldn't. We all have them. I have them. Char has them. So anyway, I've enjoyed tonight's talk, everybody. If you liked it, would you give me a thumbs up on that? Help Char show. Huh? Give us a thumbs up. All right. Nice seeing you.
Show us some love. Yeah. Okay, so let me sit here. Monday, Heather Woodward will be with us talking about the Akashic Records. So that should be an interesting show. Sunday, I'll be here reading the book, and we're going to be doing it a different way because with the air conditioning on, I can't use my, like when I'm on TikTok at the same time, I can't use just like I'm doing now because it'll make a blowing noise. So I find when I'm reading the book, I don't have to have these on for you guys anyway, so I'm going to use my ear pods for TikTok so that I can come through better on what I'm reading. So Sunday we'll be reading the book, of course, and of course there will be a show on the 4th of July. It will not be live, it'll be pre-recorded, but there will be a show, so just a heads up. But I will see, like I said, I'll see you guys as usual on Sunday reading the book, and then on Monday Heather will be with us. If you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. We are equal opportunity here, right? We're equal opportunity here.
Absolutely.
So we're trying to get the word out of our little show,
I hope they didn't like the show. I hope everybody liked the show.
it's a little show that can, right? And so you guys have done really good spreading the word, and I'm seeing a lot of stuff go up. We had the lower months with downloads this month, but I think that's because everybody's on vacation and stuff. We were short like 700 as opposed to last month, but that'll pick up. I have faith in all you guys. I have faith in all my followers. And I just want to thank everybody for sticking with us. And like Nancy says, it's starting to take off now. I'm starting to get that gain that momentum, and I don't know if it's because I'm doing all these shorts and acting like an idiot, or that's what's driving it. But it seems like on Facebook we're really starting to take off, so I'm really excited about that. Really excited. So keep it up, guys. Follow me. And if you haven't done so already on Facebook, hit that follow button. Same thing with YouTube. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. And if you happen to have a TikTok account, come on over and become a California Haunts Boo Crew.
Boo.
California's Boo Crew. Boo. Well, they only gave me like for the badges for the subscriptions, they gave me a 4-letter word. So I was trying to figure out something paranormal that was 4 letters. Couldn't figure it out, and it finally occurred to me I could just put an extra O on Boo, and then Boo Crew.
I think that's great. Are you kidding me? How easy?
Yeah, the Boo Crew. So yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. You can start your holiday weekend, and I'll show you Nancy's info and stuff, and I'm gonna go pick some flowers in the backyard for my cat and all that stuff, and do my morning thing tonight, and
take care, sweetie.
Yep.
Yeah.
I miss his big eyes already, but yeah. Okay, so here we go. Here's Nancy's info, guys.
Maybe not, huh?
I just noticed there's 2 of them here, so which one's the right one? Here we go. Okay. Websites, nancymatz.com, all lowercase. nancymatzauthor.com, the N, the M, and the A is uppercase. And youtube.com/nancymatzpsychic. Help, get me out of this funk. Nancy Matz. Two Worlds, Developing Your Psychic Skills, Nancy Matz. And The Unwilling Sacrifice by Nancy Matz. And of course, you can get those at Amazon. allergies, guys. Sorry. And of course, a real quick reminder: my recruitment class for team members has sold out, but I still have something available for people that are still interested in ghost hunting, and maybe, like I said earlier, maybe they don't want to involve themselves with a team, and be tied down to that. I have a list of places that I want to share with you of easy access places to look for ghosts or be in haunted buildings or whatever. I have a full list, and I want to share that with you. California. I mean, I've been doing this for almost 20 years, so I mean, we know all the cool places in California.
Almost
So I
20
have
years?
almost 20.
I thought it was more than 20. You
Maybe
met me in
20.
95 or
See,
96.
I've lost track. Getting senile. So
No,
yeah, huh?
no, you're not. No, you're not. You're just under
I have
stress.
a full list of I have a full list of places you guys can go to. Plus, I have the evidence from those places. So, in addition to having a list for you, you can hear the EVPs and stuff and how our investigations went in those places.
Remember,
And
we're
a lot of
talking
these
California.
places, yeah, and some of these places are hotels, so you might want to stay the night. And late at night, if you go out, there's never anybody around a hotel. You can walk around and do your little do EVPs and whatever you want to do at night, or have lunch or dinner in a haunted hotel. So that's what this is. So check it out at the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team Meetup under events, and come on and sign up for that. We've got a few spaces left for that. So yeah, that's one of those things. Anyway, I will see you guys on Sunday. On Sunday night, can't even say it. On Sunday evening. Have a great couple days. Bye.
Thanks for coming, everybody.